welcome back to the podcast. Wait, what? The Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a podcast for the website, sequelscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a podcast. It's a website. Go there. All right. Oh, my gosh. How embarrassing. Here I am. I have an interview to introduce. Literally, and also, this has nothing to do with this interview. Literally, I had just finished up with another one. And I don't know words anymore. Because I was just, every time I do an interview, I just recap what I did and what I said. And was I embarrassed? And no. Anyway, let me talk about this one. Here we are. We have a special interview with the one and only Sher. All right. You might know her from a little TV show called The Middle. A little TV show I've seen every single episode of since the pilot aired on ABC all those years ago. But we're not talking about that show. We're talking about her appearance on Night Court that just happened this week. You can just go watch it. Eden was the Gertz's new assistant on Night Court, and she appeared in an episode with Marsha Warfield. It's amazing. I love it. Marsha is from the original show. Eden's from this new show. She's one of these guest stars. Now, Eden is a treat. There's no video, so I'm sorry if you were expecting video to see this. We just did not do video. Do I have the files in video form? I do. Is it going to be released? Never. Not for you, you dirty, dirty person. Mostly because I was asked not to. Okay. If you want to see Eden on Night Court, this past episode, check it out. Again, I like Night Court. I like the reboot. Not the reboot. I like the follow-up series. It is a reboot. If you're wondering why I'm rushing through this, is because I have to do the episode after this. So that's why. I did not plan out anything in a long time. You can follow Eden online at EdenSherLive.com. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing your last name right, but I feel like I am. And you can EdenSherLive.com, where you can see everything she's doing, including her live taping as we speak. In a couple of weeks, she will be live taping her one-person show, which you can check out Sunday, March 9th at 4:30 p.m. and Sunday, March 9th at 7:30 p.m. Both tapings at the Dynasty Typewriter Theater. I wonder if this is just an in-person thing. It is. Sometimes they do live shows. But you should go see her do that. If you're in the LA area, go see the live special taping. She's a funny person, and it's called I Was on a Sitcom, and I think you should check it out. I mean this. I really like her. She's a fantastic actress, and she's very funny and very charming, so check it out. Follow her on Instagram at Eden_Sher. Follow her on TikTok at Eden Sher. She also has a Cameo page, so go to Cameo. I swear, my cat, you just heard the cat meow. She's hungry. She wants dinner, and dinner's in an hour. And also Facebook, the official Eden Sher. Now they're playing the cat and the dog. This is ridiculous. And she has a Patreon, along with her co-star from the show, Brock. What's his name? I don't know Brock's last name. It's not on this Patreon. Because they have a podcast talking about The Middle. It's at patreon.com/middlingpod. Eden's all over the place. She's all over the internet. Check her out. I like her. You like her. If you want to see a video version of this current episode, but not the interview, go to youtube.com/C+Comedy. If you want to, oh, Jesus, I started the music before I even turned the thing on. If you want to see a video version of the other podcasts, the LinkedIn Logs, which is a jobs podcast, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night News Show, on there. Late Night News Show, anyway. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us. Oh, I have the rest of this episode to talk about this stuff. I don't know why I'm pimping these things out now. Anyway, Eden Sher, right now. Check it out. Bye. We'll see you soon. Hey Eden, how you doing
Hello.
today?
I'm doing okay. I know Isabel already said it, but thank you so much for waiting. I'm sorry. It was all me. Traffic was unbearable, but I'm so excited to be here now.
It's okay. There have been many times when I've come late to an interview because of Atlanta traffic. So I bear no ill will.
Oh God, Atlanta traffic is really bad also.
Yes, yeah, it's the worst. And that's why I live in a populous area where I can walk and ride my bike and only get in my car if I need to go somewhere far.
We only have 8 minutes. We probably have 7 minutes left, but I could talk to you for an hour just about bike riding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
For
But
the middle spinoff, it's fine.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly. We'll have an in-depth interview.
yes, I please. Well, Eden, I want to say congratulations on this. What you got the podcast going on? You've got this new show at the Dynasty Typewriter, and then you're going to be popping up on this show on Night Court. It's amazing, fantastic. I love
Yes.
all three of those things. How does preparing for? I know you probably shot this months ago, weeks ago, if anything, but how does, doing this live show prepare you for doing something as maybe a little bit on par or simpler as a multicam sitcom?
It's so funny that you ask because it actually, I almost feel like I've done some multicam in the past,
Mhm.
but I, uh, I feel like it was like fate. It was beschert. That's like, that in Yiddish, like it's like doing this show after having toured my show for, my live show for like almost a year because it is so different. The difference between single cam and multicam are it's just a completely different art form. It's a completely different beast. And it is so different than actual live theater.
Yeah,
And so I feel like I've had the, sitcom, the like preparation. I can land a joke. I know how to be funny professionally.
yeah,
Um, but I think like doing this show and like really like learning how to become in sync with the audience really it does prepare you for the taking your pauses learning
mm,
it because it's a different thing performing jokes with pauses as opposed to just performing jokes and being funny on camera.
yeah,
And so I really do feel like after that year I was way better equipped to like be on par
yeah.
with some multicam legends.
Yeah, I think about this, especially thinking about your time on the middle or seeing you pop up on other shows. You have that presence of somebody who can be big, and that's what multicam really calls for. I'm every time I watch, I'll reference back to Night Court. Every time I watch Night Court, there's a reason why John Larroquette is acting more bigger than he would typically act in a show that is a single cam. And for
Yeah.
you, I think you've got that expressive face, you've got the joy that comes with that, and that's what you really need because in a multicam, you're not just playing to the people at home, but like you said, it's that audience aspect, those people who are right there with you.
Yes, yes. And it is again like it's harder than I want to say it's harder than you think. It's harder than I think being like uh finding the like where it lives in. It's still reality, but it had like it having this like grounded broadness because if
Mhm.
it's so cartoony broad, it's like oh, it's cringe, but like it's an art having it be big enough that you forgive the fact that you're watching a play, like
Yeah,
you're a multicam, you're watching a play. It has to sorry.
you're fine.
But it has to like you have to be you have to be so compelling and so like consuming, so big and so like that you're really just focused on the person, but also grounded enough that it still feels like a human being is
Hmm.
doing it. And that's multicam. You're right. It's like it's really broad, but you have to believe what you're doing. You still have to believe it. It's not quite like it's not SNL. It's not like super cartoony
Yeah.
sketches. So it's a challenge.
Did you watch any Night Court before you landed this role? Was that something that was in your purview?
Not no, but then once I got it, went back and I watched a little bit
Yeah.
because I always said to like my mom was such a huge fan.
Mhm.
My mom was really I don't want to say she was the driving force of me doing this, but she was the if I was on the fence, which I wasn't, she would have pushed me over.
That's
Like
completely
almost
fair to
literally
say.
physically. Yeah. And I did bring her on one of the shoot days, which is also a very cool thing about multicam, that you can bring your people. You could bring your parents, you could bring your husband, you could bring whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like I watched her walk around the set and it was like watching a child at Disneyland.
She walked into Harry's office and she said, "This is where everything happened. The magic, literally the magic happened."
Yes, yeah. And I didn't realize how close it was, like how it really was the set. I think that was cool. Watching like then go like I went and watched some and then I went to set and I was like, oh whoa, they really did. They
Yeah.
made the courtroom, like they did it.
Yeah, I think it's so excellent, the way that the show just captures how it was back in the 80s and 90s. I speak to a lot. I spoke to the some of the other actors on the show, and it's great because they agree with me, and I posited this that the first I don't know if you saw any of the first two seasons, but the first season was kind of a little bit slower because they couldn't be as weird as they could have as the original show was. But now in this third season, we can bring in people like you and Jessica St. Clair and have all of these different not recurring, but special guest stars, and it feels great and it feels excellent. And I think that all of you are adding to the mythos that is Night Court, and that's what sitcoms now are really missing is that mythos. And a lot of these great guest stars like you are just perfect for this.
Thank you. Yes, and I totally I agree. Like I want to say I agree, but that sounds too like I shouldn't say it. Like you can say it. I agree. I feel very like uh, I'm not like smart enough to know exactly what the mythos means, but I understand it in context. I'm like,
Yes.
yes, it is. It's cultivating a vibe. It's like cultivating a whole,
Yeah.
right? Is that basically and I do feel like having like other really strong comedy people come in, again, like myself, it adds to this like it just like it creates it like adds on to the world that was already existing, but then it like creates a new modern, I don't know, there's something I feel like the middle did it also with like
Hmm.
creating something that was a little bit
Yes.
timeless. And that's what when you do a reboot well, I feel like it does like capture this element of timelessness because you're going back to you like it was a show in the 80s and 90s, but it's
Hmm.
not. It's 2024 and so like or 2025, and so like being able to capture that but not keep it there and
Right.
keep it like it's a challenge. Like that's a weird line to walk and they do it really well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Eden, we could talk for days on end. You're an
Yeah.
excellent actor, and I very much appreciate you for sitting down with me and talking to me about this. But good luck with the podcast. Good luck with the show. Oh, not good luck. Break a leg with the show.
Thank you. Yes.
And
Thank you.
and you're
Thank
you're
you.
doing such a good job over there in Hollywood.
Thank you so much, Chad. And next time I'm at, you didn't, you should, I should have invited you to my show when I was in Atlanta.
It's all right. Don't worry. I have to fly there to go to see yours.
Okay, please. Yeah, come out March 9th.
Welcome back in. Welcome back. Here we are in the regular episode, in the meat of the episode. I apologize for sounding so rushed, but I had to. I had to just rush through all of that. And then the pets started fighting. Not fighting. They started playing. But now if you're watching the video version, Nova is currently on the table, which is where she's not supposed to be, but I can't turn and do anything. Oh my gosh. Welcome back in. Welcome back in. What's been going on? Nothing much. So let's get on with everything. Amazon is shutting down its Android app store. If you didn't know that existed, well, then you didn't have an Android phone. For a long time, Amazon had a competing app store on the Android platform. where you had to side load it, which is speak for you just downloaded the APK file directly from whatever, I think Amazon's website, obviously. And then you can download their app store. Their app store had pretty much everything that was on the Android app store, with the exception of a lot of things, because you had to develop for both stores. You couldn't just upload, like you can't, like I can't, that's why there's not a lot of iOS apps that are on Android apps. I pointed to my iPad and then to my right, which is where my phone is. Yes, honey, I know you're hungry. I hear you. Maverick, I hear you. The reason why they're freaking out right now is all day long the fire alarms have been going off because they're testing the fire alarms. So for, I don't know, about 2 hours this afternoon, the fire alarm would start up, and then one of them would get so nervous that they would start barking. And it seems to me that it would be this guy right here. If you're watching the video, I just moved the camera to point at Maverick. And then at one point, I went to lay down because I needed 20 minutes of a nap before this interview. And another one had run away to the closet, to the bedroom closet, to hide because it was so loud. Anyway, the Amazon App Store existed because Android allowed it to, and now there's a new rule instituted in the EU and across the world that there had to be a competing app store on the Apple platform. Amazon would have been one of those competing app stores on the iOS platform, but they're giving it up. This comes from TechCrunch, written by, I just forgot I meant to do this, Ivan Mehta. The company said on August 20th, it's when everything is going to go defunct. Starting August 20th, you will no longer have access to Amazon App Store on your Android device. They're going to be discontinuing their coins digital currency as well, which could be used to purchase games and apps on the App Store. I had the Amazon App Store on I think 3 phones ago. So I'm on the S23 Ultra. Before that, I had the S21 Ultra. Before that, I had the Pixel. Yeah. And then Pixel 2 XL, I believe. And so around that phone time, I had the on the Pixel 2 XL. I know I definitely had it on the HTC One. Was that? Or Evo at some point. Okay. So that's going out of the way. But continuing on with Amazon, this comes from Etten Vlessing at The Hollywood Reporter. James Bond shakeup. Amazon takes creative control of franchise from Broccoli family in a new deal. Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli had the reins to the 60-year-old property of the movie franchise of James Bond, which also means that they also just own James Bond outright. Amazon bought MGM Studios a couple years ago for $8.5 billion. And along with that, they also bought the rights to distribute James Bond. But they didn't outright own James Bond. Now, Wilson and Broccoli, they basically had the yes or no status to a lot of James Bond products. They could say yes or no to games, movies, books, what have you. Under the terms of the new agreement, Amazon MGM Studios will gain creative control of James Bond franchise, while Wilson and Broccoli will remain co-owners of the blah, 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 blah. Since the MGM acquisition, Amazon has held rights to distribute all the James Bond films, and following completion of the joint venture transaction, will continue the creative on future productions. In the long run, this means that Amazon can now just pump out James Bond movies in the same way that I believe they own the rights to Lord of the Rings now. So in the same vein, they can do the same thing, make a Rings of Power for James Bond, make a Rings of Power style show. It took them so long to even get the that 007 Prime Video competition series, which is a reality series that I believe was hosted by Brian Cox. If I'm right, I have got to stop watching TV. I was correct. It is called 007 Road to a Million. My goodness, never seen a second of that show. Also, they want to show me Beast games all the time. I'm not going to watch that. I have seen Mr. Beast videos, but I'm not going to watch Beast games. I'm not going to watch 10 episodes that are 40 minutes long of that show. Let me just watch Pop Culture Jeopardy in peace. I can't wait till the night. 8 p.m. I'm going to watch 2 episodes back to back before I go to bed and watch an episode of The Simpsons. I live a boring life. Daniel Craig put out a nice little note saying that he respects the Broccoli's, and also, which is this is something that really just points to the future of what James Bond is probably going to be. Unfortunately, Jeff Bezos put out on social media, "Who do you think you should be the next James Bond?" Like more or less crowdsourcing who the next James Bond should be. Unfortunately, I have no faith in these next couple of movies if they're just going to be distributed by Amazon, which is no offense to them, but James, I think as much as I want another James Bond, I do think that the time that you take between movies and between choosing the right person works. Daniel Craig was a great James Bond for 5 movies. Pierce Brosnan was good. Sean Connery was good. By no means, there's no bad James Bond. There's just movies that don't work as well as the other ones should. For instance, the original Casino Royale. What's the one where I believe it was in the 70s or the 80s, or it might be 70s. That was basically a blaxploitation film. No, that one, I don't like that one a lot. And that's the one I've seen the most. Besides a lot of the Daniel Craig ones. That's one. I still haven't seen. There's a couple I have not seen all the way through. And then there are others that I've seen too many times. And then there's others that I've seen enough. Okay, this next one comes from The Hollywood Reporter, again written by Caitlin Houston. SiriusXM looks to YouTube and Spotify to help grow podcast subscribers. If you didn't know, if you're a SiriusXM subscriber, you get... Okay, let's start on the bigger story. A bigger whole of this. On Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, if you are a podcast that has subscribers, you can charge extra money to have bonus episodes come out, and people can subscribe to that and actually pay you to get those bonus episodes only on that platform now. SiriusXM does the same thing more or less with their platform, where if you subscribe to SiriusXM, you can listen to episodes of Smartless early, bonus things of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, all that stuff. Now they're expanding the podcast subscription offering to Spotify, YouTube Music, and others. The offering started initially on Apple Podcasts, as I mentioned, and it gives people ad-free listening on new episodes, bonus content, and early access to episodes of popular shows. It includes, like I said, Smartless, Freakonomics Radio, Last Podcast on the Left, 99% Invisible. It also now includes Call Her Daddy, which was acquired from Spotify, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, Rotten Mango, the Mel Robbins Podcast, and more. I just said a lot of words that I don't know if they are real existing things. The expansion started on February 19th and offers subscriptions to SiriusXM Podcast Plus for $5.99 per month or $44.99 annually. I don't know how this exactly works. I don't know. Again, if I just go to Spotify or YouTube Music and I just go, I also want to subscribe to SiriusXM, but I also have SiriusXM, so I don't know. Anyway, SiriusXM notes that SiriusXM Podcast Plus is among the top charting subscriber channels on Apple Podcasts at the moment. This is going to help them grow an audience outside of the SiriusXM platform, instead of having things gatekept behind their app, which is not the worst app in the world. In fact, when I was at the gym yesterday, I was listening to it. listening to music stations because I was sick of choosing things on YouTube Music. And the day before that, no, yesterday's Wednesday. Day before that, on Tuesday, YouTube Music. Day before that, I'm not kidding, an hour and a half at the gym, I was listening to the Lord of the Rings audiobook. It was my first time, and I was just engrossed by Andy Serkis. I just wasn't in the mood for music. SiriusXM views its top podcast as a way to bring in advertising dollars and to feed into its larger talent ecosystem across podcasting and satellite radio. Unfortunately, they did say that they're taking the focus off their app and reinvigorating their love of the satellite portion. But I would think that if you, in this today's day and age, you can focus on both, and there should be a little bit of a disproportionate view on the app. In any case, that's their decision, and it makes sense as to why they are going that route. But the app is, again, SiriusXM is a company that's been around for a long time, and there are people who are like me who just want to, they put their phone down in the car, which is what everybody should be doing. But you put your phone down in the car, and I don't want to finagle with, I'm listening to this playlist on YouTube Music. Because I don't want to listen to the same things over and over again. Whereas FM radio, I find to be boring. But SiriusXM is great because I get these shows. I get Howard. I get access to stand-up comedy channels. I also get sports. If I'm driving somewhere in the middle of a Dallas Mavericks or a Dallas Cowboys game or an Atlanta Falcons game, I've had a tough time watching Mavericks games. Not because they are based in Texas and we barely get games over here over on the East Coast on our channels. But also because getting rid of Luka. Yeah, Nova's affected too. The SiriusXM president and chief content officer Scott Greenstein said this is a gamble for them. They going behind the paywall, knowing that they're going to lose some free listeners, is it works because they have the right talent and the willingness on the talent's part. So whatever. Hoping that'll work out for them. They're hoping it works out for them. I don't care one way or another. All right, this next one comes from the New York Times. The Verge, written by Jess Weatherbed. The New York Times adopts AI tools in the newsroom. The New York Times has reportedly approved artificial intelligence that newsroom staff can use for editing copy, summarizing information, coding, and writing. The publication announced in an internal email that product and editorial staff will receive AI training, according to Semaphore, and introduced a new AI tool called Echo for summarizing articles, briefings, and other company activity. Staff reportedly sent new editorial guidelines detailing permitted uses for Echo and other AI tools, which encourage newsroom employees to use them to suggest edits and revisions for their work and generate summaries, promotional copy for social media, and SEO headlines. This was now the New York Times has been against using AI in writing for a very long time. They've been one of the staunch companies that is, they've been one of the companies that are staunchly against AI in the newsroom for a long time. As a tool for use for writing. I don't know if this is exactly their first or second time, or third or fourth or fifth. I don't know if this is their first time looking at an AI tool in terms of actually using it to help them do the smaller things. But I think it would be important to know that I know every single publication, whether we like it or not, and a lot of jobs going forward are going to be utilizing AI tools. Who is it? USA Today already uses a tool, and I'm not comparing to USA Today and New York Times, but the USA Today already uses tools to summarize things, and other places do too. I'm thinking about the reason I paused was because I think there are companies and publications that more or less write in such a way that you don't really need AI tools right now. I'm thinking of, and I say that because I'm thinking of Axios. Axios is a wonderful news organization, and when I click on a story, they give you all of the necessary information. They give you a paragraph or two about what the story is, why it matters, driving the news, the latest, and everything's kind of bullet pointed for people in today's day and age. And they've been writing like that for a very long time. Now the thing is, I think if you write like that, then you don't really need a tool. I wonder if Axios has any tools. And I'm not saying that AI reporter. Yeah. Axios sees AI coming. Oh, this comes from New York Times itself and shifts its strategy. Wow. Interesting. Cool. Axios. Okay. Interesting. All right. Anyway. So anyway, I think there's a lot of companies that already kind of do a good enough job where they don't really need AI right now in the immediacy. But this is AI can be used. I'm not saying we should be against it, but it can be used as a tool. I know I've mentioned that before. Writers, for people writing screenplays, they don't want to be replaced by AI, and also writers give the best stories. I think Aaron Sorkin's not going to come out and say well, I mean, he doesn't give a crap anyway about the WGA or anything, but we're not going to have a writer for a TV show or a movie say like, I use this tool to write this scene or to write a couple of scenes for me and I got lazy. Like, no, they're going to use it as a tool to help them at most warm up or get some ideas or get some things going, but they're not going to use it to write for them. There's some examples mentioned in mandatory training videos for this Echo tool. They're going to help develop news quizzes, quote cards, FAQs, or suggesting that what questions reporters should ask a startup CEO during an interview. I think that is right now as far as it should go. There shouldn't be anything that you should be using it for writing because the human brain is still smart and a good writer would not necessarily need anything beyond that. And even still, some of this might be a little too far, but as the case is, this is a good step and it should probably stop here. There are restrictions, however. The company told editorial staff that AI shouldn't be used to draft or significantly alter an article, circumvent paywalls, input third-party copyrighted materials, or publish AI-generated images or videos without explicit labeling. The paywalls thing is very important because ChatGPT cannot get access to New York Times articles at all or URLs at all because you have to pay the New York Times. ChatGPT would, and you as well, would have to pay in order to read their produced work, which makes sense. And yes, you have plenty of photographers and designers and editors on staff. You don't need an AI thing making images or videos. I'm not saying stay out of the water, but I am saying let's get our feet wet. The New York Times promised that, quote, the Times journalism will always be reported, written, and edited by our expert journalists in a memo released last year. You can take that to see how much copy they're going to be writing with AI tools, which is to say none. And they adopted generative AI principles in May 2024, which is when they went after Copilot and Gemini when they went after ChatGPT. Alongside Echo, other AI tools apparently greenlit for use by the Times include GitHub Copilot as a programming assistant, Google Vertex AI for product development, Notebook LM, New York Times NYT's Chat Explorer. I don't know what that is. OpenAI's non-Chat GPT API. I don't know they had non-Chat GPT API, and some of Amazon's AI products. Now, this is important because A couple of weeks ago, this comes from the Hollywood Reporter by Winston Cho, the first AI copyright case ruled in favor of the people, creators, people who are who sued the AI copyright companies, AI companies. Some good news for Hollywood creators suing AI companies is the article title. Copyright law bars a former competitor of Thomson Reuters from using the company's content to create an artificial intelligence-based legal platform. A court has ruled in a decision that could lay the foundation for similar rulings over the legality of using copyrighted works to train AI systems. U.S. District Judge Stephanus Bibas on Tuesday rejected arguments from Ross Intelligence that it's protected by the, quote, fair use exception to copyright protections. The court's ruling on the novel issue will likely be cited by creators suing tech companies across Hollywood, though the case doesn't involve the creation of new content created by AI systems. But a citation nonetheless can be a good stepping stone. The case revolved around a Thomson, I sound like I'm saying Thompson, but it's Thomson Reuters legal research platform in which users pay to access information regarding case law, state and federal statutes, law, journals, and regulations. Content includes head notes. That doesn't sound like it's a real thing. That summarize key points of law and case holdings, which are copyrighted. Again, like I said, it's going to be a huge stepping stone when it comes to conversations surrounding AI and people's works being used. And oh God, ooh, Jesus, Maverick! Oh my God! I was like, what is that smell? I took a deep whiff, and Maverick's laying down, and he just farted. I was like, what is that smell? I was like, it smells like brimstone. Oh, God. Oh, man. Good Lord, dude. Oh. I've been giving him eggs all week. I'm not kidding. Because eggs are good. They're good for dogs' coats, and then I let him chew on the shell too. I let him eat the shell too, because it's good. That's a good. If you don't have any bones, it's good for a substitute for dogs that like to chew bones. Anyway, I crack an egg into his food. He did not get one today, so I don't know why he stinks like that. That was disgusting. Also, we went on a 2-mile walk. It was almost 3 miles. Here's the thing. I took this dog on an almost 3-mile walk up and down the Beltline. Come back home, and the alarms are going off. He has not taken a nap all day, and I am so pissed because I only got to close my eyes for a little bit of time. It's ridiculous. I hope he's not up all night. In lawsuits against OpenAI, Meta, and Anthropic, among others, creators allege wholesale copying of material. You would see it often, especially last year and maybe like in the past 2 years, you would see how previous models of ChatGPT would just outright take entire articles from the New York Times, from other things, other publications. The court's decision turned in part on whether the headnotes constitute original works protected by intellectual property law. Bibas, the judge, who ruled in favor of Ross Intelligence on summary judgment in 2023 in a decision that was withdrawn shortly before trial, sided with Thomson Reuters on the issue since headnotes can, quote, introduce creativity by distilling, synthesizing, or explaining part of an opinion, which means that AI model or any AI model, it can't have an opinion, which means that it was drawing from somebody else. And it was basing its opinion, its decision on what somebody else, on head notes from this law file. Which means, in the end, if you had a ChatGPT, a Copilot, a Meta AI, or a Gemini even as well, if you had one of those AI tools write an article for the New York Times, for Reuters, for Axios, for even Fox News, without all these laws against the copyright, and it was making its opinion, quote unquote, more or less, quote unquote, its opinion, its own opinion, then that would be drawing from somebody else's. Like if IGN started instituting where there's too many video games out and we need AI to write every review. Okay, well, if Super Mario Wonder comes out and every other outlet, Eurogamer, GameSpot, YouTube people, if they put out their reviews and they say Super Mario Wonder is good, it's the best Super Mario Brothers game, side-scrolling game in years, and then IGN's AI tool goes and combs through all those reviews and says the exact same thing and says 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, then that's that thing ruling final judgment over what it can't. Also of note, Bebas declined to find fair use, which provides protection for the utilization of copyrighted material to make another work as long as it's, quote, transformative. On this issue, he noted that Ross intended to profit off of its use of Thomson Reuters' head notes, which, quote, disfavors fair use. The court stressed, quote, even taking all factors in favor of Ross, it meant to compete with Westlaw. I don't know. Anyway, it meant to compete with Westlaw by developing a market substitute. And does not matter whether Thomson Reuters had used the data to train its own legal search tools. The effect on a potential market for AI training data is enough. We have to use these AI tools right. Again, I am not somebody who is against AI. I have ChatGPT on my phone and my iPad. I have Microsoft Copilot on my iPad. I have I think it's on my phone too. I don't have Gemini right now because it's when you replace it on if you have an Android phone like I do, Jesus, oh God, Maverick. It replaces Assistant. Get away from me, man. Oh, good Lord. I thought I smelled something. Oh, this is a bad episode. With the exception of the interview up top, this is a bad episode. Oh. I gotta do yoga with these smells around me. I don't know where I was. But I have all these tools at my disposal, and I only use them for menial tasks. I guess what people were using them a couple of years ago for. But I haven't used it in any creative capacity at all. And even for Adobe products, they have generative AI tools that I find on their for the creative side, like the image creation. I find them difficult to use. Just like saying, even like logo stuff. I have it. I'll just be forward. I've been trying to make a new logo for C Plus Comedy and some of its and News Time. Which is the news show, but I have not done in 2.5 years. But it's just like it's not coming together the way I need it to, which is fine because I'm not in any. I'd rather design it by hand, like a child. I've made all the theme songs by hand on GarageBand. Okay, I gotta stop this before I die. Before this dog farts again. I know it's disgusting, but that's what happens. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. If you want to see a video version of those talks, as well as a video version of this podcast, as well as a video version of the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, go to youtube.com/C plus comedy. That's where everything lives right now. If you want to subscribe to those shows via whatever podcast platform you like. Check out Eden Sher on Night Court, online, all that stuff. Follow us on social media, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook at C plus Comedy. Be on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.